I got to talk about this. I finally decided to do a video on this topic. I'm going to talk about the grays. A lot of people have been asking me about the grays ever since I started doing videos. I always say I'm going to do a video on it. I always put it off. Now I finally got a chance to talk about it. So let's get into it. Who exactly are the grays, according to my research? The grays are a very popular stock of ETs because they're pretty much the first aliens that, most of us got introduced to by television, ET, and just, most people that were spotting aliens in the beginning, back in the 50s and stuff, a lot of those UFO sightings, they always saw the grays. A lot of people that were abducted were always abducted by the grays or whatever. So for a while, a lot of people, even now, a whole lot of people, but like for a while, a lot of people, they when they got into the alien topic, they got into it thinking that the grays were the only aliens. So when you see pictures of aliens, like just people joking around and they say there's an alien, they always make them look like a gray. They always make them look like a gray. The reptilian thing has gotten more popular now, but back in the day, the grays were like the most popular aliens. So they're kind of like celebrities. And the reason for that is because of Roswell and what happened in the Roswell crash and them finding a little gray's body during the time or whatever. So, but there's a lot of information about the grays that people don't realize. There's a lot of different information out there about them. Now, as far as the grays, their actual proper name or what they call themselves are the Rumardians. They call themselves the Rumardians. And the Rumardians, or what you would call grays, started off as slaves. They started off as slaves. They were slaves for what most people call the Anunnaki, or to be more specific, the Syrians. These grays were slaves for the Syrians during the time. They created the grays as scouts. And the grays are what you would call, it's different extraterrestrials that fall up under this category, but the grays are, and I'll do more videos on extraterrestrials that fall up under this category, but the grays are what you would call electrical or electronic biological entities, or EBEs is what we call them, electronic biological entities. The grays are not organic, they're biological, they're electronic, they're technology actually. They started off as a technology and this is what they are or whatever. Now, based on my research, I do hear that there was an original organic group of grays, or those particular grays that are called the Rumardians, that were the prototype of what they designed the EBEs, or the electrical biological entity version of the grays after. So they did design the EBE versions of the grays after a dominant matriarchal. Keep in mind, the grays, the Rumardians, are matriarchal, the actual organic ones. They did design them based upon a matriarchal pattern. But now the grays are evolved further down in their evolutionary line, and they are now actually EBEs, or electronic biological entities. And this is where humans are going. You see, people don't realize what's going to happen to the human gene here in this particular race of humans. Because there's different types of humanoids in different dimensions and different parallel realities. But humans are going into this whole concept of being robots. They're going to become robotic, and we are becoming robotic. And I did a video on transhumanism, so you should probably watch that to kind of get more information on that. So the grays were slaves. They came to this planet and other planets on behalf of the Anunnaki, and they sent the grays out, even as EBEs. They sent them out, the electronic ones, out as scouts to get minerals, to see what type of minerals would be there on that particular planet. They're designed in a way to where the grays can pretty much survive on any planet in the solar system and even the other solar systems, and that's why they're used. That's why they're used so much or whatever. And they actually, once they broke free from their slavery from the Anunnaki, a group of them got re-enslaved now and are slaves for the reptilians. And the reptilians rebred them and bred a more aggressive version of a gray. See, there's different species of grays. There's well over 7 different species of grays. And that's what people fail to realize. Even in the electronic, there's different versions of grays. Even on the electronic side, as far as the ones that are electronic or programmed as computers, there's different versions of grays, or what you would call species or versions or programs of grays. And then even on the organic side, there's different species of grays, of which I already said that the electronic version of the grays were patterned after the organic grays. So there's different species of grays. And the reptilians created even more. Like I said, they created some aggressive species of greys, and they use those greys to go and abduct people to get their little blood and stuff like that. They've been doing that, or whatever. They use them as scouts too. Basically, what the Anunnaki made them for. And basically, what the reptilians do, all they do, folks, what the reptilians do is most of their technology, they get it from the higher beings or whatever, beings that are more advanced than them. It's just like humans, like us. We get our technology from higher beings or beings who live in civilizations that are more advanced than us. So, and it's nothing new with the reptilians. They get most of their technology from the Syrians, and you know what I'm saying. It's just different groups of beings from different stars and from different suns and from different planets that are more advanced or whatever. And it's no different from the Greys. That's where they got the Greys from. They got them from the Syrians or whatever. So, yeah, that's basically that. Now, the Greys were one of the they were one of the species in genetics that was used in making humans. The organic gene of the Grey was one of the species that was used in the manufacturing, or the I should say the cloning of humans, or the bringing of humans to where we are today or whatever. Now, certain tribes only had the organic species of Grey in them, and this was particularly the Pygmy tribe, or what you would call Pygmies, or what they would call the Tarites, or the Pygmies. They're properly called the Tarites. And the Tarites or the Pygmies have Grey in them, and they mixed in with the Greys even after that. Like when the Greys came to this planet and broke away from the reptilian control. And I'm bouncing around here. This is a lot of information. This is just a one-on-one video, so this is not a lecture. We're going to be breaking down stuff or whatever. This is the facts of what I've learned. Basically, an overview of it. So, you know, bouncing around here. But when the Pygmies, when the Greys broke away from, some of them got away from the reptilian control, and they came to this planet again, because they've been to this planet different times, but when they came to this planet again and they found the Pygmies, they began to mix in with them, and they taught the Pygmies astrology and things like that. And this is where I'm going to do a video on this, but there's something called Naphtha-Playa. And Naphtha-Playa was basically kind of like a African, or what you would call really a Nubian, which is older than Egypt. This was a Nubian version of a Stonehenge. This is what Naphtha-Playa is, and this was taught to the Pygmies, who were the original Nubians, the Nubians were the original Egyptians. You got to keep tracing yourself back. You got Egypt, Nubia, then you got Tarites, or what you would call Pygmies, that were from Kenya and in that area. Then you got the Greys. You know what I'm saying? And all of these people are mixed in together and share, you know, similar traits or whatever. So the Greys are one of the species that are a part of that particular project. I think that's going to do it for me for the most part. When you see the Greys, another thing I want to point out is, like, when a lot of people, they're seeing the Greys a lot more mostly, and the reason why is because the Greys, you have to understand, the Greys are slaves to a certain different races, like the majority of them. Like, a lot of people hear about the Greys that are from the Orion constellation, and you hear about them, the real aggressive ones that, you know, they say don't trust. They're working for the reptilians. See, a lot of the Greys, you got to really be careful with them Greys, because some of them are working with the reptilians, and you got to know how to talk to them to find out and know what to ask them if you do encounter a Grey, or if you ever get in a situation like that. So, yeah, they're very much, you can't trust all of the Greys or whatever, and there's many different species of Greys, but there is a group of Greys too on the other end, I have to bring balance, that are trying to help humans get free from reptilian control or whatever, and that's, you know, based on their own interest too, because they want us to be free so that we can help them, and, you know, we can build relationships with them because they're trying to break free from the reptilians as well. So, I mean, the Grey thing is pretty deep. Eventually I'll probably do a part 2, but that's going to do it for me for right now. That's my measure on the Greys and exactly who they are and pretty much what they represent. So, for more enlightening information, visit my website, and until we meet again, I'll leave you in peace.